work our way backwards.
Whatever. Okay, Raw.
Raw sucked, everybody.
Yeah.
It actually didn't suck. It was
better than SmackDown.
It was better than SmackDown. What was it? It was just an average show.
It was a show. Sean asked me, "Hey, was Raw worth watching?" And I had just finished watching it, and I didn't know what to tell him.
The answer is no, I presume.
I guess the answer is no, but it's not like if you choose to watch it, you will not regret it. It's just a show.
So Big Dave came out, the failure, and he got booed unmercifully. And Stephanie appeared on the big screen and said he couldn't have a rematch until after Survivor Series because she'd promised it to the winner of the cage match. That person would get Cena for the title. And she said that they were going to break away from the past tonight and finish a lot of feuds, which I hope she's telling the truth. So she signed Jericho and Shawn, last man standing, Kane versus Rey in a no DQ match. And then the best part of this, I hate Stephanie as a character. She's the bad kind of heat where, like, I don't want to even watch this show when she's on. But at the end, when she said, Dave, I just want to thank you for your understanding, that was awesome.
My favorite part of this is when she was talking about ending all the new feuds and turning a page, and she declared that this episode of Raw would be, and I quote, a stamp of finality.
That doesn't sound good.
No.
So anyway, Randy Orton came out, and they had a big argument about who was better, and they agreed to have a match later on tonight. And I should note that this was the UK, and they chose who they liked, and they chose who they didn't like, and it was kind of weird. But essentially, the important part of it is that the people were cheering for Randy Orton, and they were booing Big Dave. And I guess we'll see what happens next week. But Dave was buried so bad in that cage match that I would not be surprised if everyone just turned on him as a failure.
I think it was more that the fans all around ringside were cheering for Orton, because there were times when I heard roars for Dave, but it was sort of like in the back of the arena. So I don't know if that means the diehards like Orton and the casual fans like Dave, or what, or the people willing to pay more money for front row like Randy Orton, but it definitely came across at first as a very pro-Orton crowd, and then later I heard, like I say, the background roar for Big Dave. But there were speaking of the fans, two great moments of fan interaction here, as Dave and Orton were going face-to-face and calling each other out and calling each other pussies. I heard a young British child scream, "Punch him in the face!" And then when Dave didn't do it, he tried again, "Punch him in the face!" And at last, there was no face punching going on.
He should have tried harder. Three's a charm.
He did cheer when Dave finally kicked him in the gut, which apparently was good enough. And I also love the fan who had the sign that read, "Bring back The Rock." As if Rock is waiting for a phone call, you know?
You never know.
As if it's just that simple as saying, hey, you know what? We should bring back The Rock. Let's get him right now.
Santino came out and said he'd done away with the honk-a-meter in favor of the honk-a-perfect Mountie-meter, of which you add those reigns together and you come up with 123 weeks. And I think if you take Mountie out of it, you still have 123 weeks.
It was like 2 days, wasn't it?
It was like a day or two or something like that. Anyway, he was at 13 weeks. And out came Santino and Regal. And Regal got an ovation, but I certainly expected a hell of a lot bigger ovation than he actually got. It was very strange. I don't know if it was mic'd poorly or what the story or...
It wasn't even the mic, because even looking at the crowd, I was like, they're clapping, but they don't seem that happy.
My initial thought was that it was because everyone figured it was his hometown, and so he was losing. And so why get behind the guy? But anyway, he came out. There were some Santino chants, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
And they had a 30-second match. Regal beat him with a running knee and won the championship. The honk-a-meter is now officially over, as I had figured it would be last week. And then Regal did a promo talking about how he was proud to be a loyal subject to the Queen, honored to be our Intercontinental Champion, that sort of thing. And it was a pretty damn cool little thing, but it was just strange. I would have liked a more competitive match than this 30-second crushing defeat here.
Yeah, my biggest thing was how weird it was how not over William Regal was in England. He was just a raw babyface. It could have been any other guy on this roster. And he went through Santino to win the belt. And here's where it really hit me how not over he was, because I thought at first maybe they just don't want to see Santino lose, or maybe they figure he was going to lose because he's in his own town or home country. And then even after he won and he destroyed his opponent and won the championship, that's when I realized people were still like sitting down and clapping, or maybe standing up and giving a golf clap. But there was not the hysterics we saw when, for example, CM Punk beat Edge. People were just like, okay, William Regal won, that's nice. And I don't know if that means they're tired of seeing him killed in his hometown over and over again. I don't know if that means the IC title is such a joke they didn't consider this win anything important. it was just surprising.
We had Kane cutting a wacky promo about how he loved beating on the innocent, which was why he enjoyed wrestling Rey. It was goofy.
He basically said, "Boo me."
Yeah. Mike Knox pinned D'Lo Brown, squashed him. It's his Raw debut. It was fine. I like Mike Knox. I have no problem with him whatsoever. We'll see if they do anything with him. We had Beth and Santino having a deal backstage, and basically Santino said he'd been on the phone with Shane, and Shane had signed Beth to a match later against Mickie James, and Beth got very, very angry and screamed at Santino about it and broke his phone, and
he shrieked.
There's trouble in paradise, and he was very concerned that his phone was broken, so I don't know what that means, but there you go. We had a Cena video package, which was quite great, and this was followed by Jericho coming out and doing a promo and basically explaining that I beat Big Dave at SummerSlam, or you got destroyed by Big Dave at SummerSlam, and I beat him, and I'm going to beat you. I've destroyed Shawn Michaels. I punched his wife. I beat him, pillar to post, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he said he was going to beat him up, and that was that.
Every story does not have a happy ending, and this will be another one. And that was fine, and the video was great, but the video opened with Cena arriving on Raw, and the first thing they showed were Hunter and Shawn burying him. Just like, all right. Okay. And then it talked about how much heart he had and how he wanted it more than anyone else, and he worked harder than anyone else, and goddamn, he's great, but kind of a weird way to start your hype video with two guys talking about how much he sucks.
Well, you know how it is. Kane and Rey had a average no DQ match. I wasn't much into this, and did a bunch of stuff and missed some spots, and Rey threw him into a buckle, followed up with a ass splash off the top for the pin, which even that looked botched.
I actually wrote that down. Rey wins with the flying botch.
Yes. And anyway, that was that. Just a thumbs in the middle, pointing down match. Not much to it, and thank God it's over.
That is my hope. That's my hope, is that this feud is over. Like you say, it was kind of wonky. They never really got any narrative or storyline going through it. It was just, you hit me with some moves, now I will hit you with some moves. There was a point where Rey Mysterio hit Kane with a rolling DDT on the floor, on the cement floor. And Michael Cole called this an opening for Mysterio.
You don't say.
Kane should be out for 6 weeks now after taking this move, and instead they just kept wrestling. And eventually Rey won, and I thought, well, at least it's over. And then I see they have announced a match for Survivor Series.
A horrible match.
A bizarre match. It is a team match, and Rey Mysterio is on the babyface team, and Kane is on the heel team. So they're still going to wrestle more.
Well, what can you do? And Great Khali is on the other team, so... Yes. Great Khali's on the babyface team, so this feud with Kane could restart.
I'm just excited to see Kane and Rey do double team spots, or Kane and Shawn do anything together, or excuse me, Khali and Shawn.
That'll happen. We had didn't Shawn and Khali? They had a match. They had a match on Raw.
I've completely forgotten this.
I remember this. Everyone was like, God, that was a pretty good match. And I was like, no, it wasn't. It was a completely average, below average match. But it was just
better than every other Khali match.
Khali standards. Still wasn't all that good. So, and then we had we had Ed in San Antonio and Cody Rhodes meeting with Orton. And they were upset that DiBiase had a concussion. And Orton was like, well, he was the weak link, and I just did what you guys didn't have the balls to do. And he told him that neither of them were in his league. And so Cody slapped him, and Orton was about to fight back when Manu got in front of him. And so Orton looked at them both and then just kind of slinked off. So they tried to rehab them from last week for a short period of time.
A very, very short period of time, yes. After Orton pointed out that... Ted DiBiase, A, cost them the tag titles, and B, screwed them over in the Battle Royal, which are both true. And then here, yes, Orton was... They rehabbed them by having them gang up on a guy 2-on-1, basically. And Orton wisely, but also cowardly, fled. So, it was a well-performed segment, I guess.
And then it all ended. Batista and Orton... The match was about to start when Cody came out and said, Randy, you can't beat me. We both know you can't beat Batista, but I am going to beat him tonight, ring the bell. At least they had a somewhat competitive match before Batista beat the holy shit out of him and won.
It was back and forth for 3 minutes before the killing?
Yeah, Batista killed him, and then Manu... First off, he got knocked off the apron, and then he got speared out of his boots. And, buried. These two fuckers were buried. And I know where they're going with the whole thing, and I talked about it yesterday on the Dave Show. I don't really have a problem with it because the idea is that it's not like they're making them out to be two Colin Delaney's. They're not two complete, utter losers. They're just two guys that can be somewhat competitive with Dave, but they're still not good enough to beat him. And so Orton is eventually going to take them under the wing and try to make them good enough to beat main eventers. So I'm okay with it, but it's not doing him any favors at this point.
No, they at some point, not being able to beat Big Dave is not the end of the world. It'd be nice if he could have gone longer than 3 minutes, but they need to beat someone else then. They need to beat Crime Time, or they just lost their belts to Punk and Kingston, but they need to beat somebody.
Let's see. Then we had, what do we have? I lost my notes.
Beth Phoenix versus Mickie James.
Oh, this sucked.
A quite terrible pro wrestling match.
God, this was horrible. I have no idea what was wrong with Mickie James, but her gut looked large.
I noticed that as well.
Losing her trousers, which actually led to the best moment on the show when she did a kind of a roll through into a cradle, and she was bent over with her pants halfway down her ass, and I was like, well, that's great. But other than that, this fucking sucked a gigantic cock. God, it was bad. I mean, they were both horrible, and Mickie was actually, I don't know what was wrong with her, but she had a hideous night. And Beth won, and that was that.
And I will say, Glamorella did have an excellent celebration where Santino lifted his woman atop his shoulders and then did a great dance.
So they plugged Punk versus Orton last week, and we're talking about how Punk was going to finally get his revenge, and I thought, didn't we see him try and get his revenge last week, and he utterly failed?
Not only that, but they are now plugging in. That's the main event for next week, is Punk going for revenge against Randy Orton, and Punk was not on the show, nor was there a video of Punk whipping people's asses. In fact, the only video they showed was Randy Orton kicking his head in.
I don't know.
That's very strange.
I do know that we had Shawn Michaels and Jericho last man standing for the main event, and I was on Fight Network Radio today, and Morrow was talking about this match, and he said, I read a lot of people saying this match was great. And I thought, who said that? Name one person who said this match was great. This match was fine. Yeah. In fact, for a 20-minute match between these two guys, it was disappointing. And, they did some stuff. It was by no means a bad match, but I just watched it and I was like, 20 minutes for Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho live on Raw, or at least taped live on Raw. This should be an awesome, awesome match, and it wasn't. So, anyway, JBL interfered for the finish, setting up the Survivor Series match, which is, we've mentioned before, just ridiculous. And that was that. Just not blown away by it.
No, I mean, to have a 20-minute match and have it be only average is actually quite an amazing feat. Wrestling for that long is hard, especially for the Raw audience, but it's I was bored for a large part of it, and then it kind of picked up at the end. It felt almost like it felt like a great 30-minute match where they took the middle 10 minutes and just stretched it out for 20, and then chopped off the beginning and end. It was just a mindless parade of spots. Let's fight on top of the car. Okay, we'll fight on top of the car.
Yeah, there was a car there. I was like, why is there a car here?
I would do a Boston Crab on top of the car. Okay, do that. I will lay here and sell. All right, fine. And I will throw you off the stage and you will land on your feet. Okay. And there was almost a great spot where Shawn hit Jericho with the crane mic, or the crane cam, but unfortunately he hit him with just like the arm of the crane, not the camera itself, so he missed the shot of the camera flying into Jericho's face, which would have been great comedy. But it was just a match, and the only other comment I really have here is they prefaced this with a really good Shawn Jericho video recapping this feud going back to when Jericho punched Rebecca. But it did raise a question because right before that, Shawn was saying how he was going to follow his doctor's orders and retire, and then there was the spot where his wife got punched, so he had to come back for one more night to get revenge. He is still wrestling, everyone.
Well,
the Lord works in mysterious ways.
Revenge is a dish best served
over months and months and months.
Over a long period of time. And what can you do? No buys on that show, everybody.
Hey, Cole, can I ask you something? Kozlov comes down to the ring to no music. Why not come out to some fancy type of Latin dance music? After all, he is the world Mambo champion. A little bit of Kozlov in my life. A little bit of Kozlov by my side. A little bit of Kozlov, all I need. A little bit of Kozlov, what I see. A little bit of fun in the sun. A little bit of Kozlov all night long. A little bit of Kozlov, here I am. A little bit of you makes me your man.
To think poor Mick Foley was being yelled at in the middle of that.
Amazing, isn't it?
It's so sad. I'd have yelled at him, too. That was wacky. What's this one right here?
Just looking. Oh, just looking. Ain't I a sight to see? Yes.
Remix.
Some competition. But they don't. So just looking.
Yeah.
Remember the first time Rob Conway came out to that song? We were like, what the hell is this? And then the man began to sing, and we were like, this is the best song ever.
Romeo from the Heartthrobs was on today.
How'd that go?
Awesome.
I bet it was.
What a great man.
Did he talk about grating cheese on his abs?
He did.
Good.
I'd actually, believe it or not, I'd actually forgotten about the one in the gym. I distinctly remembered the one at the mall. So I started out talking about the one at the mall, and then I was reading some questions, and that was brought up, and it all came back to me. So yeah, that was great stuff. Everyone, check it out. The Romeo Roselli interview.
I'll have to listen to this one.
For those of you that were fans back in the day in Ohio Valley, he's got some hilarious Jim Cornette impersonations as well for Cornette's reaction when they came up with wacky ideas like, it's Easter, we should come out with the Easter Bunny. What do you think Jim Cornette said when they asked his question? Find out on Figure 4 Daily.
I will guess, this is pure speculation on my part, I believe it would involve the word fuck. Or some iteration thereof. Fucking, fuckers. Perhaps
in a positive manner. They did in fact come out with the Easter Bunny. I guess we should talk about Smackdown. Another shitty show.
This was a horrible TV show.
Particularly the main event. The MVP Lounge is back, and he came out and was interrupted by the Great Khali, at which point they did the kiss cam, this went 15 minutes.
Yeah. First of all, MVP came out. He talked about the Hurricane making fun of him, and then Hurricane appeared on the screen and made fun of him some more. Then he discussed his losing streak, and he established that now he has to... it used to be his next win would get a big bonus. Now they've gone the other way, where he has to get X number of wins by Survivor Series, or his contract will be cut to standard SmackDown status. Now, if this were real, if MVP was really this cocky, arrogant man who prided himself on being the highest-paid wrestler on SmackDown, why would he tell the fans that this status was in jeopardy? Why would he alert us to that?
I don't know.
This made no sense. Then Khali came out.
It's funny the things that grate on you.
Khali came out and they did the kiss cam and it went forever. And he kissed two girls. He kissed one girl, then the other girl, and then kissed them both at the same time. And then MVP ran in, hit him, and ran away. And as you noted, this all went 15 fucking minutes of my life. And I go back to what I said like 2 or 3 weeks ago now. Your opening segment should either have a great action or star power. This was 2 mid-carders wasting time not being entertaining. Thumbs down.
You know, oh, God. Remember those girls that came over, like, a month ago in the middle of SmackDown, and they knocked on the door and they wanted to bake a cake?
Vaguely.
You don't remember this story?
No.
Thank God you've been reading the newsletter.
Well, I have not, actually, but...
Anyway, for those of you that have been reading the newsletter that remember that story, I could have baked a cake, and this segment would have still been going on. And I had no eggs. So, yeah, I'm not going to tell the story again, Vinny. You're just going to have to miss out.
I'll go back. It's on the website. It's in the archives.
Now you're going to have to read about 10 newsletters to find it.
I see.
This will teach you. There's one night you should have been here for SmackDown. But unfortunately, you were not.
Did you get a cake?
So the story of your life.
Did you get a cake?
Read the newsletter.
Simple yes or no question.
Anyway, everybody. So, this, people on the board have accused us at times of running songs into the ground and sort of thing. You don't even know what running in the ground is until you've seen the Kiss Cam for the 8,000th time. This was funny for a while. It is now horrendous. And I do not ever want to see the Kiss Cam again.
And there is no development to it whatsoever. Khali comes out, they bring on a fat girl, he is shy, they chant his name, he kisses her, the end. It's the same every week.
We had Vicky.
So they cut backstage where Vicky and Big Show were watching this, and I think my favorite part of the entire show was Big Show on the couch looking completely bored. just appalled by this prior segment.
She said, maybe I chose the wrong giant to keep an eye on me, and he stormed out. And then MVP stormed in, and she signed him to a match with the Great Khali, which, again, you're watching the show for the first 15 minutes, and you see the kiss cam, and then they promise Khali versus MVP for later. Why would you stay watching? Why would you continue to watch this program?
I have no idea. I have literally no answer to that question.
R-Truth lost to Shelton in about 3 minutes, and with a clean finish, by the way. So,
yeah.
Bloom is off that rose.
Yeah, it sucks to be him. It sucked to be him when he was tagging with Kung Fu Naki, and Kung Fu Naki got the win, and now he is beaten clean as a sheet by Shelton Benjamin here in 3 minutes. And frankly, when I saw the latest list of cuts, I was sure his name was going to be on there.
No, he ain't getting cut yet. But still, the fact that they put more faith in Shelton Benjamin than R-Truth, that should tell you something right there about the people making decisions in this company. We had Kendrick did a promo, and then Ezekiel beat the redneck, and he's got black trunks and black boots and black knee pads, and very generic. It should bother me, but for some reason it doesn't, because his role is as a big black generic bodyguard.
Well, there's that, and the fact that his body is so incredible, he does not need gear to stand out.
It's funny what incredible means in 2008, by the way.
Yeah.
He's a rather chubby bodybuilder.
Has a much scarier physique than, say, the redneck, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just liked during this match here when JR referred to Zeke as complex. What is complex about this man?
Well, he quoted Pulp Fiction. Actually, that was Kendrick.
Yeah. He's a bodyguard who
But he knew it.
He knew what it was, yeah. And he protects the guy he's being paid to protect. Then when he wrestles, he beats men quickly and glowers at them. What mystery is there about this?
Eve met with Michelle and said it had been a year since she won the Diva search, and now she wanted Michelle's advice about taking it to the next level. First off, what?
I know where you're going with this.
She won the Diva search? First off, where the fuck have I been?
Well, that's actually not where I thought you were going with this. I remembered her being the Diva search winner, because there's no other reason for her to be on the show.
Neither was there for Lena Yada.
Valid. She was a Diva search loser, I think. But anyway.
Well, that's what I thought that Eve was.
Yeah. And so yes, Eve was once in her life actual winner. And you're going to decide you want to be a wrestler, and so you ask for advice from Michelle McCool?
Well, she's the champion.
It's still dumb.
That's the least of my worries on this program.
And then it led to Michelle McCool acting.
Yes.
She explained that, I don't even know what she said. She basically said that Maria sucks.
Yeah.
Was the gist of her point, but it was supposed to be the catty behind your back statement with the divas getting all catfighty, but my God, this woman's terrible.
She's a hideous actress. Actually, she's just hideous when she has to speak. Her facials have been pretty good. And in fact, when Maria walked up and she all of a sudden had to act nice again, that was actually pretty good. But the explanation of, do you want it? No. Do you really want it? I wanted to kick my TV.
She's wretched.
Then we had Jeff saying that he wanted another shot at Hunter, and she said no. You're not even very extreme anymore, she said.
Indeed.
He was appalled.
Then she said, why don't you go do some tag team wrestling? That's what you do best.
Yeah.
He was buried for being a tag team wrestler.
Yeah.
For being good at tag team wrestling. That now, I know it's not news, but now that is officially on camera, in character, a burial if you're a good tag team wrestler.
Yeah.
Amazing. At this point, the show was 45 minutes old, and I was already just completely sick of it. It was either here or like a half hour later, but I had to take a break during watching the show. I had to just hit stop and go walk away and do something else for a half hour. It was bad.
Hunter Hardy against Miz and Morrison.
This is, by the way, right after we had Jeff Hardy being buried for being a tag team wrestler, we had a commercial for the new Smackdown vs. Raw video game. The point of this commercial was, look, you can make tag teams.
Yeah.
They buried their own product.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So anyway, they had a little match, and it was a DQ with Jeff hitting everybody with a chair, and it was a very strange match. And then afterwards,
the story was Jeff was he came out being very un-Jeff-like. He was just kind of sullen and stomping his way down to the ring, and Hunter started, and then Jeff tagged in, and then Jeff never tagged out. they got the heat on him, and then he got to the point where it was going to be a hot tag, and he stood up and turned to Hunter and said, "I don't need you," and he went back to make his own save, and then he got cut off again, and Hunter came in and started beating up the bad guys, and then Jeff grabbed a chair and just started walloping them for the DQ. And Hunter was a little confused, and Jeff hit the chair a bunch, and then Jeff went to the back, and Hunter was in the ring, staring confused at Jeff. Jeff was in the ring, up on the ramp, staring confused at Hunter, kind of. And, okay, this segment had a story here. The story is that Jeff is pissed off he can't win the title. He wants to be extreme. He's willing to kill men with chairs to get another title shot. It's all about Jeff, and it all makes sense. And then Hunter picked up one of the other guys and hit him with a pedigree, and they played his music, and he posed.
Hunter, for literally not a single solitary good reason, hit Miz with a pedigree.
And then they played his music.
Of course.
Like he had accomplished something.
What was the point?
I don't know.
Why did he have to hit Miz with that pedigree?
The point was...
to be an asshole.
The point was, telling a story is not as important as Hunter hitting his move and posing on the ropes.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
And again, that's all on camera, in character stuff.
Literally no good reason. But he, there you go. So, anyway, then we had... that annoyed me, by the way.
That was very annoying.
Miz is a geek, but that was annoying. So, anyway...
Jeff went to meet with Vicky, and Vicky said, "I'll give you credit. That was extreme."
Yeah.
Is this 1998 again?
He used a chair. Fuck. How extreme can you get on the kids' show? So, anyway, we had a generic Eve was back to being a generic interview girl. That was classic. And she asked Kozlov how he was going to deal with, quote, "the mystic power of the Undertaker this evening." Those are exact words.
Yes.
He said he was going to crush Taker's soul, break Hunter, and then become champion for all the people.
And I was watching Eve during this. I don't pay attention to her most of the time. And you're so right when you say she thinks she is the star of the show when she is doing interviews.
Yeah.
It's great comedy.
The entire show is built around Eve when she is doing an interview.
Right.
It's all about her.
It's amazing. It's awesome.
Then we had Big Show giving a message to The Undertaker about he did not fear him anymore. And...
well, he pointed out that
hold on.
All right.
This was what he said. He said that he had been thinking about this a lot lately, and he figured out where Undertaker got his power. It was through fear. He said, and I quote, "When Undertaker told a man that he was going to burn in hell, it froze that man up." Please. What does this mean?
It means, Brian,
if you tell a grown man that he's going to burn in hell, he will be filled with horror and freeze up?
If The Undertaker does it, yeah.
He said, "I know you're made of flesh and blood. I am not afraid of you anymore. And to prove it, I am going to challenge you to a match in your own little creepy, depraved playground." Casket match at Survivor Series. This is such a child's show.
I thought this was actually probably the best segment on the show. It makes sense, though. He's beaten Undertaker twice. Now he wants to... Yes.
He is, after... let's break this down, okay?
All right.
Big Show went home, and he sat on the couch. And he thought, where does Undertaker get his power? What powers does Undertaker have, thought the Big Show. Well, lightning comes down and shoots the stage. He disappears in smoke. Why do I run from the Undertaker? What is it? Well, must be because I'm scared. I am scared of the Undertaker. Now, why would that be? Why am I scared of the Undertaker? Is it because he... No, why am I... I am scared of the Undertaker because he tells me I am going to burn in hell. Okay. I'm going to go explain this on Smackdown.
Right. Brian,
right.
You mentioned this is a kid's show. Moreover, for the vast majority of The Undertaker's 20-some-year career, he's been a cartoon character.
Big Show couldn't say, I'm scared of you because you beat the shit out of me all the time?
But he's not scared of him. He said other people are scared of The Undertaker, but he is not because he's beat him unconscious twice.
Wow.
And now he's going to prove it once and for all by beating The Undertaker in his own match. We disagree.
I just think it's so wacky.
It is.
I mean, that whole explanation, if he would have had a little better explanation, I would have been fine with this whole thing. But the fear, because he told men they were going to burn in hell, and the men froze up.
This is your equivalent of me getting hung up on the part where MVP talked about he has a deadline now. It's the same thing.
Then we had Collie and MVP, and Collie won.
It was very short. No. The best part was JR trying to explain that MVP needed money because he had squandered it.
No, that's right. They buried him for not saving his money now.
They buried him for not saving his money, and then Taz broke in and was like, well, he spends a lot, but he makes a lot of money, too. He lives a very high lifestyle. And there's a pause, and JR said, right, he squanders it. So, yes, he's a loser who also has wasted all his cash.
What a fool. Then we had the show fall off a cliff. It was Brie Bella and Victoria, and Brie won without going under the ring. But after the match, Natalya went after her, so she went into the ring, and Natalya grabbed her feet. Now, for whatever reason, Victoria went around to the other side of the ring and grabbed her hands, and they both pulled, and so the feet were coming out one corner, and the arms were coming out the other corner, and she looked about, 10, 12, 15 feet long.
And for one moment, this was awesome.
I was hoping that both sides would go to the ring and only one girl would run out and the heels wouldn't even think to look under the ring.
Yes.
Like maybe we just really pulled her so hard she stretched to 15
we stretched
feet.
her to 16 feet tall.
So unfortunately both twins came out, and I don't know if there's ever been an angle that has been built up for so many weeks.
So well.
Where when the payoff came, it was met with utter, complete silence.
Yes.
Nobody gave two shits about two Brie Bellas.
No. Well, they pulled them out, and the twins stood up, and they smiled at each other, and then they whipped some ass. And that was it. And all I could think was, you've had this plan. Well, you will flagrantly cheat and break the rules to get wins over your opponents. And then, after all these months, there will be a big reveal. Your plan will be foiled against your will, and you're fine with this.
Yes.
And then they beat the bad girl's ass and sent them packing. They hit flying mares,
yeah,
which is a great comeback. And
Brie Bella sucks. God bless the girl. When she first came up, I gave them the benefit of the doubt because hey, they're new, Be on the road for a few weeks and then we'll talk. They still suck. These poor girls are horrible, and I don't know. They're lucky they're twins because it's unique, and they're lucky they're hot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'd be just fucked. Well, they may. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Which led us to Carlito and Primo.
This is a terrible segment.
Carlito and Primo saw him, and they found this to be cool. Then we had Kozlov and Taker, and Taker's a great worker. He's a great worker, and he did the best he could with Kozlov. But sweet Christ, does Vladimir Kozlov suck? I thought he'd been looking good. He had a good match with Jeff Hardy. He's looked all right here and there, but he was wrestling school bad in this match. They did a tackle early, and the first thing that hit the mat was the back of his head. He looked like he almost knocked himself out. He had some wackiness running the ropes. Oh my God, this was bad.
It was good when he was standing and delivering punches. His offense is still good. His everything else, particularly when Undertaker hit him with these snake eyes and Kozlov. His head did not come within 2 feet of the turnbuckle.
No.
And
how do you not go up for the snake eyes?
And
it's a body slam.
Well, I guess that was the same part. Undertaker went to lift Kozlov up, and they clearly had to edit this because Kozlov could not get up on Undertaker's shoulders. And then, yes, it's not even the part about not getting up on the shoulder. It's the part where Undertaker drops you, and again, your head misses the turnbuckle by 2 feet. You put your hands out to grab the ropes to catch yourself, and then your arms don't bend. And you just land on your feet. That was bad.
So anyway, this match, by the way, the story was that if Kozlov beat The Undertaker, he was going to get a title shot. And when I first heard this, I thought, my God, they're actually going to put Kozlov over The Undertaker clean. Can you believe that? And, of course, what did they do? Well, it was a winner via DQ when Jeff Hardy ran in and hit both men with a chair. And apparently he hit Kozlov first, and so Kozlov was the winner via DQ. So I'm sitting there thinking, this is the fucking dumbest thing I've ever seen. You're building Kozlov up for a match with Triple H at the Survivor Series, and the big win that he gets to set that match up is a win via DQ because Jeff Hardy hit both guys with a chair. Are you fucking people crazy?
How could they do anything dumber than that?
What do you mean?
They immediately did something dumber than that.
Yes.
That was sarcasm.
How could they do anything dumber than that? And then, yes, in fact, The Undertaker chokeslammed Kozlov for, seriously, there was less of a reason to do this than there was for Triple H to pedigree Miz. This was so fucking stupid.
Well,
so apparently they've given up on Kozlov.
This is much worse than that, because pedigreeing Miz, at the end of that, Miz and Hunter are both exactly where they were before anyway, who cares? Kozlov, as you've noted, they've been pushing him for months now. In the past, 2 months, as a legitimate world title contender. Not anymore.
Now he's a big fucking lug that's going to lose to Triple H. And if he doesn't, boy, what a dork Triple H lost to. A giant loser.
So let's quickly review the wrestling on the show. Shelton over Truth. Ezekiel over Jimmy Wayne Yang. Miz and Morrison beat Hunter and Hardy by DQ. The Great Khali squashed MVP, and then Undertaker and Kozlov.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sucks. This show, everybody, thumbs down. Let's play a song.